So how do you deal with pensions on divorce? Well, first and foremost, you don't forget about them. It's important to make sure that they're dealt with as part of all of the other assets that are going to be dealt with between you and your spouse when it comes to getting divorced. But ultimately, there are 4 options. You could leave your pensions as they are, so your spouse keeps their pensions and you keep your pensions. This might be appropriate depending on the types of pensions that you've got and what they're worth, but actually it might be more appropriate for you and your spouse to have some orders made in relation to what happens with your pensions. And there are basically 3 types of orders that can be made. The first of which is relatively rare, so I'll deal with that one quite quickly, which is pension attachment orders, which basically leaves the pension as is, leaves it invested where it is, leaves it in the name of the spouse who owns it and has accrued it, but just makes some specifications about what should happen when it's drawn down. So when a lump sum is taken, who should be paid what out of the lump sum, and when the income is drawn down, who should be paid what out of the income. The second and by far the most popular order in relation to pensions is called pension sharing, and that's where a chunk of the pension is taken out of one spouse's pension and put into an entirely separate pension in the name of the other spouse. So it can be invested entirely separately, and ultimately when it comes to drawdown, it can be done completely independently of each other. If you decided you wanted to take all of your pension out under pension freedoms as a lump sum, then you'd be able to do that and your spouse could do something entirely differently in the future. And the third and final thing that can be done with pensions is something called offsetting, which is basically where one spouse keeps their pension entitlement in replacement for the other spouse keeping some other assets. And the most common form of offsetting happens with the family home. So where one party wants to keep the family home, they will often do that by not making any claims in relation to the other's pension.